Women making right there on your screen. I'm going to hand it over to Anne-Marie right now, just to give a little bit of, just a few words from Anne-Marie.
Thanks, Tracy. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. I just can't tell you how thrilled we are to have your support for the work that we do. Women that live with mental illness often feel misunderstood, very, very alone, and very afraid. And when we see 1,000, as Tracy said, almost 3,000 people who have registered. Yeah.
Can I interrupt you a second? If you're not comfortable that we're going to record this second, Anne-Marie's actually going to start again. Okay. If you can take your video off, that way that you won't be recorded. But we record the session for those who aren't able to attend. So there you go.
Okay, we want to respect your right to privacy and confidentiality. So as Tracy said, if you don't want your face recorded, just take your video off. So we are just so excited and grateful for your support for the Run for Women. Women's mental health at the Royal is a really unique program. We have 3 parts to it, including peer support, capacity building, and research. And we're going to delve into each of those areas over the course of the hour. Women's mental health is all about collaboration, and we have on the call today my community-based colleagues who are doing awesome work to support and promote women's mental health and well-being. Martine Dorr is the interim executive director of Cornerstone Housing for Women, an awesome resource that provides housing options for the most marginalized women, many of whom are living with mental health and addiction issues. And we'll hear from Martine a bit later. I also see Elise Benham, and the newest little Benham, who is the executive director of Ottawa Birth and Wellness Centre. We're very privileged to collaborate with the Ottawa Birth and Wellness Centre to provide mental health peer support to people in the perinatal period. And Tamara Brown is the interim director that we've had the pleasure of working with. So we'll hear, it's one thing for me to say how great our program is and our impact, but if you want to know the impact, ask the people on the receiving end. And that's who we're going to be hearing from throughout the course of the hour. So we are just so grateful, so thrilled, and so enthusiastic about the virtual run ahead, September 27th. And thank you from the bottom of our heart for participating in the run and today. Back to you, Tracy. You're on mute, my dear. There you are.
I want to give a quick moment for our friend that I introduced earlier on. Tracy Dell is on the line, and she's coming into Ottawa from Toronto, but she was just hoping to give you guys a little bit of a message, so I'll hand it over to Tracy right now. Maybe we lost Tracy, and maybe now I'm going to have to call on Jen Mully or Lisa.
Hi, everybody. I can say a few words. If Tracy's there, she can jump in, or Lisa, no problem. We're excited.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you. This is my first year working with the Ottawa team and this run, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with the passion and the dedication that I've seen from both our partner at the Royal and all of the associate owners in this market. It's just been truly remarkable. I'm incredibly passionate about mental health and wellness for women, and so there isn't a more important time in history honestly, for us to be engaged in raising funds for mental health initiatives. So it is thrilling to me to see that this run continues to be successful even under very difficult circumstances. I'm thrilled to see the enthusiasm that everyone on this call generates for the run, to have this many participants signed up, ready to participate. Like, I'm just honestly gobsmacked by everything. And so I just wanted to express how important the partnership is to me, and to all of the associates in the market. I know it's very important to Lisa, and we're just thrilled that we have such a wonderful relationship with everyone at the Royal, because that's what makes this so special. This is a very special run. I've participated in many across the country. I've had the privilege of supporting a couple of other regions, and this partnership is truly special. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. And I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I can say a couple words. I just wanted to say that we're hoping this year, we're very excited that the virtual run is going on and we can share it with all of our colleagues across the country on the 27th. We never get to do that. So we're all going to be running together. We in Ottawa, we have about 230 employees on our team right now. So we do have about 60 to 70 stores participating. But we're hoping to build an even bigger team. We want about 6 people per store. And every store is fundraising. We've already started. We really ramp up our fundraising 2 weeks before the date. So everyone in the stores is wearing t-shirts. We have shoe icons for the windows again. So we're right there with you. We're building a big team. We'll be participating all stores, hopefully on September 27th, right there with you. You'll hear Shoppers Drug Mart ads on radio, heavy on social media and PR. That started August 29th and runs to September 18th. So we're here to support you and wish you all well in building your teams and fundraising. And yeah, thank you to Tracy and Natasha and the Royal for being there right there with us on calls, conference calls, making this as successful as it can be given it's virtual. So thank you.
Thanks, Jen. So we've been getting a lot of questions about the run and what does all this virtual stuff mean. And one of the people that asks me a few questions all the time is my friend Catherine Dines. So I invited her today to start asking all the questions that she has had. Some of them she's had for me and some of them other people have had for me, so that maybe you can get some answers to the questions that captains have been answering. So again, Catherine Dines, Magic 100 Radio, so you can tune in and listen to her. But she's a huge Royal cheerleader and we're so grateful to her. So I'll head it over to you, Catherine, to ask what you want to know. Oh,
there we go. Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So Bell Media, everybody is aware, Bell Media is also a partner this year, and we have ads already running on air for this. And I've actually given it some extra love for a few months now on what we have called Magic City Spotlights. We also do videos for charity events. So this is the videos we've done as well. And so a lot of people have reached out to me and asked questions because I find, because so many charities have gone virtual this year, everyone's like, well, how does that work? So Tracy, since you are the keeper of all the knowledge, what is the easiest way to explain how the virtual run and walk work?
So for me, the easiest way to explain it is really, it's an independent walk, but really we'll be all doing it together virtually. And what that sort of looks like is you doing your walk, I doing my walk, anybody doing their walk or run or skip or dance at whatever pace they want, whatever during the day that they want. It's really all about opening up the possibilities of people saying they have to go to a party and, well, you can do it at a different time, or there's even a whole range of dates. But really what the virtual thing means is that you're inviting someone to be part of your team. And what your team is all about is supporting women's mental health. So when you're asking somebody to join your team, you're just saying, hey, do you want to join my virtual Run for Women team? What does that mean? It means that you support women's mental health and you want to join, you know, hopefully 28,000 Canadians across the country on September 27th as we all walk in our own neighborhoods, our own communities for women's mental health. I hope that sort of answers what the virtual piece is.
Okay, so the other piece of confusion, even for me, is the date's September 17th to the 27th. So, so that's the time frame to do your activity.
That's right.
Your run, is that right?
So our top priority is to encourage people to do it on the Sunday. As I said, there's a big impact across the country if we can get thousands and thousands of people walking together on one day for women's mental health. If you have to go to your grandma's birthday party, or if someone has already got something booked for the 27th, or they're having teeth surgery on the Friday, do it any other day between the 17th and the 27th.
Okay.
That just opens the flexibility so that we're not narrowing people and so that we can get more and more people involved. But really our focus is, and we ask you to stay on that focus, to really try and connect with your teammates around the 27th. You know, even though you might not be walking, running, skipping, jumping with them, there's a lot of things that can go on social media. And so I know that a lot of captains are going to connect with their teammates by social media. So again, that's a big piece of the virtual part of it.
Okay, perfect. That clears up some confusion. Now, are you asking people to do this any specific place, like on a treadmill, outside? They can do it however they want, right?
Sky is the limit. And actually what's even more brilliant about the virtual event is you can split it up. So you don't even have to do it all at once. You can do it on your treadmill. You can do a couple mornings, like 1 kilometer a day on your treadmill leading up to it. It is really whatever pace, whenever you want to do it. It's really quite liberal and open up that way.
Okay. And now, okay, so people can sign up solo, but they're also signing up as a team. Is the team, because of, you know, COVID and restrictions, we know we can do the physically distance, but if there are people uncomfortable with that, can they still be on a team and do it separately?
Yes, and in fact, I was on a call today, and that's something that I really need everybody to be really, really aware of and really, really respectful of. We don't want to put any kind of bad thing on the brand of Run for Women. So we don't want people posting people that are all standing on top of each other, squished in little spaces. If you're going to take pictures, take individual pictures, take team pictures from like big lens so that you can see that people are distanced. It's really, really important, not only for the pictures, but for public safety and for community safety, that everybody really, really, really pay attention to those public health rules. Because although it'll look fun and great to have a big party in your backyard with everybody like having bubbles after your walk, as long as everybody's socially distanced, I think we need to really be aware of that part. So good point, Catherine.
All right, so this is a bit of a challenge. I just signed up our Bell Media Ottawa team because I was supposed to be part of another team. But Tracy was like, yeah, go Bell. So I'm like, okay, let's do this for Bell. So we're late to get our team signed up. One of the challenges is because we do obviously sponsor so many events, so many of our colleagues are already involved in lots of different events. So for people who still want to build their team and they're having challenges recruiting people, what are some ideas to get people on board?
So that's a great question. And though I don't like to say, one of the big things I say is the swag bag's the awesomest swag bag that you'll ever get. And so use it to your full advantage. Lucky to have shoppers on board. I've had a preview of the swag bag. I hope you've seen the video, but really some people are really driven by the swag bag. So we still need to rally 2,000 more people. So you're not late to the game. We're just well over our halfway point. So now's the time to TikTok, but really feature the bag, show off the shirt that they'll get, the bracelet, but also don't lose sight of the fact that every $40 that someone invests with their participation goes directly to the Royal. So that's a big deal this year. Previously, as most of you know, it was $10 per registration. Now it's $40. And so I always say, and Lisa Gibbs is on the line, and so is Tracy and Jen, I always say, we want to take shoppers for as much money as we can. So the more people we sign up, that's $40 per person. And I just love getting a big check from shoppers.
Okay, I gotta add to that because I convinced my 17-year-old to sign up. We had breakfast together and I went on and on about everything. And then I said, oh yeah, and you get $100, over $100 worth of products in the swag bag. And she said, you should have led with that.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. The other thing that's a really good idea that Catherine's been doing is post videos. So make a video of yourself, use Catherine's video of the loot bag. There's a really compelling, inspiring Run for Women video that's 1 minute long. So to share those videos and say, join my team on social is pretty easy to do. Natasha Farrell on my team has some pretty creative thoughts on the social media. Follow the Royal and share our stuff. But that's a really good way to build your team too. We're telling lots and lots of people to make sure they invite everybody they know on every Zoom call or every conference call that they're on. Do not feel nervous about it. Just get right out there and put it out there. And then the last thing to do is really look over your contact list. Look at your contacts in all your social media. Send some direct messages, some text, and that will really get people feeling like you want them specifically to be on your team. We're going to be having some Facebook Live events coming up, so I'll be sending you the information about them, but that's a good way to get people in, is to invite them to the Facebook Live event and then try to get them to join your team. And then the last idea, and Anne-Marie and I have done a lot of these, if you have a corporate team or if you have a group of friends even that want to have a women's mental health lunch and learn or coffee and learn, Anne-Marie and I are happy to set up a Zoom with your team, with your friends, to try and convince them to join your team. So lots of ways to still recruit, and still lots of time, 3 weeks to get our next 2,000 friends.
Now, is there a sign up cutoff?
Yes, there is. So a little bit of confusion for anybody who was watching social media yesterday. They put out this big thing that said the cutoff was September 1st. And in fact, that is true for a certain amount of things, but September 17th is the official cutoff. So the online registration will be closing at midnight on September 17th. What's important about that September 1st date is that anybody who signs up prior to September, including September 1st, you will have the absolute choice of where you want your loot bag delivered. So like most of us who have already signed up, we had the choice, I think, of 5 or 6 running rooms to pick our swag kit up in. Come September 1st, that list is going to drop to 2. So you'll be able to pick, I believe it's going to be Maryvale or Bank Street only. So if it's important to you to pick up much closer to your house, like in Stittsville with my friend Janie, or out in Orleans and that kind of thing, make sure your folks register before the 1st. The also note on the 1st is the 1st, they will guarantee that you will have your swag bag in your hands if you've had it shipped to you. So Canada Post can't ensure, if you sign up on the 16th or 17th of September, that you will have your swag package in time for race day. So again, that September 1st deadline is important for a few things, but it's not by any means the drop dead deadline. September 17th is when it all ends.
Okay, and then when can we pick up the swag bags?
So that's a whole big process, and I'm sure everybody can appreciate, and I ask you to take your patience pills as that part of it gets rolled out. There are 75 running rooms in Canada that are now receiving swag bags. The swag bag isn't the challenging part. It's actually making sure that they get the right number of shirts in the right sizes. So what's going to happen is you will get an email letting you know 2 days that are open to you to go pick up your swag bag. And they're doing it by staggered names and birth dates or something. I don't even know what the criteria is, but that allows for social distancing so that not 500 people are showing up at Bank Street, crowding in together and, you know, doing everything anti-public health. So that's one of the parts that they're really trying to work out, but you will get an email telling you when and where. Well, you've told them where you're going to pick it up, but when you can pick it up.
Awesome.
And the 24th of September.
Awesome. And what about fundraising incentives?
The fundraising incentives are pretty sweet this year. just looking at my little note to make sure I get it right. If you raise $250 to $500, you get 25,000 optimum points. If you raise $500 to $999, you get 50,000 optimum points. And if you raise over $1,000, it's 100,000 optimum points.
That's per individual?
That's per individual.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? That's it for me. Oof.
I don't know if Kelly and Natasha are watching the chat line to see if there's any questions there.
Yeah, we just had one question. I just answered, you just wrote privately to me, but will people still get their swag bag? It'll just be late, right? So yes.
If people are asking it to be shipped and they register after September 1st, the risk is that you may receive it late, but you will receive it, yeah.
So one more question, Trace. Do we have a start time for September 27th, or is it any time that day?
So you can do your move, your walk, your dance, your skip, your saunter, your run, anytime on September 27th. It's almost confirmed, so don't go putting this everywhere in the world, but 11 a.m. will be the 1 hour broadcast. And so it's going to be coast to coast complete broadcast. We're going to check in with the different charities. We're going to see what's going on in Calgary, what's going on in Newfoundland. And so it's going to be a pretty inspiring hour. We're going to tell a lot of great stories. We're going to see who all the people are, who we are helping with our efforts, with our fundraising. And it's going to be a really, I'm really excited about the broadcast. So it's an hour-long broadcast that'll probably be aired live at 11 a.m. our time. So the Vancouver folks are getting up early to do it. But again, that will be saved and you can watch it at any point. It'll be recorded and put onto Facebook.
Another question, Trace. When are the bags being mailed?
I think the bags start to be mailed right after September 1st.
And one more question. So can we pick up other people's bags at the running room for them?
So there's a few challenges for that. And for captains who have been at this a long time, you'll remember the days where we have bundled everything for you. That's a little bit more difficult this time because you have to be sure that everybody on your team has chosen the same running room. So Anne-Marie couldn't go pick up all her team's bags if her team wanted Canada, Stittsville, Orleans. So that's the first thing, is to really make sure and absolutely sure before you go to running room that you're only trying to pick up for people who have actually asked for that store. I wouldn't go in with a big long list anymore. It's just a little bit chaotic. But if you have a few to pick up, like for your family, for your neighbor, I say go ahead and try that out. Good.
One more question. How are the optimum points for fundraising being awarded? So I think that's probably just going to be automatically somehow through shoppers. Is that what's happening, Tracy?
That's a really good question. And I'm not sure who might have the answer to that, but I think they know I'm looking at them. If they would know that answer, I think they would be piping in right now. We'll get back to you on that. I suspect Lisa Gibbs is going to tell us a wee answer here. She has to unmute though.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. We'll be adjudicating that on the back end. So it will be all of the instructions are there on the website in terms of when those points will be appearing on your PC Optimum card. So it's a fairly, sorry, Tracy, you're looking at me like I'm.
So do you already know my optimum number, Lisa Gibbs?
You know what, thank you. You're going to be invited to give that to us.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
You heard it here, folks. Any more questions? Thanks, Lisa. Any more? Last chance for questions, Catherine.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hey, everybody. It's sort of along the same lines. So if the team actually raises funds and it's not for one particular person, then how do those incentive points get allocated?
So that's where you need to be very, very strategic. If I were the captain of a big fundraising team, I would be I would be telling people to do their own individual funding versus team fundraising. And if you think that you're up for some really big prize or something like that, maybe everything gets fundraised to the captains and then you share that big prize. You have to be a bit strategic about it because it is not the team fundraising total, it is the individual fundraising total. And that's probably not the answer you want to hear, but it's good to know that in advance as opposed to after the fact. So I'm going to now change gears a little bit. So thanks, Catherine, for all the great questions. Keep them coming. We're always here. Natasha and I are answering lots of questions. So anytime it works for you, just message us something if it comes up. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Women's Mental Health at the Royal again, and we're going to let you learn a little bit about our community partners. And like Anne-Marie said, we're really proud to have so many community partners that are affiliated with the Royal. And this can actually help you with your recruiting because when you're asking people to support women's mental health at the Royal, you're asking for a whole community of service agencies and community providers that the Royal is supporting. So it's not just the Royal, it's lots of great places. And I'm actually going to call on one of our greatest and latest partners who have a team that's building like mad, which is so awesome, is the Ottawa Birthing Center. So I'm going to hand it over to Elise.
Hello, sorry for this screaming baby in the background. You saw her earlier. My name is Elise Banno. I'm the Executive Director of the Ottawa Birth and Wellness Center, or what we call the OBWC. And I'm currently on maternity leave. I had a baby 5 months ago, but she came 2 months early. So that was a surprise during the pandemic. So I'm going to split my time with Tamara, who's the acting Executive Director, to kind of finish up where we are now. But I wanted to tell a bit of the story of how we became partners. Because I feel like I've become a cheerleader for the Royal. I can't believe the work that the Royal does, and I'm so lucky that we were chosen to be a partner as well. So our story starts about 6 years ago when the previous executive director, Wendy Grimshaw, and different community leaders, including Anne-Marie in the mental health sphere, came together to do a community analysis of what supports were out there for perinatal mental health. And what they found was there were some resources out there, but there weren't many, and there weren't many for what I was calling, and I have since learned is not the appropriate terminology because of my work with the Royal, but like that mild to moderate mental health issues where people were experiencing anxiety or experiencing some negative thoughts, but they didn't necessarily meet the criteria to be seeking health care through going through Emerge or through any of the higher level care that did exist. And so we knew that from that test or from that analysis that there was need in the community. And what came out of it, which was really surprising, is people were really looking for group-based help. And so fast forward to 2018, I believe it was, and I ran into the CEO of the Royal at an event where I was representing my position as a board of the Board of Health for Ottawa. I was there in that capacity, and I ran into Joanne and I said, you know, the Royal has great expertise and we have access to people who really need this help. And we have space, maybe we could partner. And she said, absolutely, send me an email. And it was just that spark that ignited all these years of passion, but you need that moment, that spark. And so that spark really led us to forming this beautiful partnership, which has evolved into different help, but offers peer support. And so that group-based support that was asked for by the community is what the program evolved to do, but also a lot of education that needed to happen for different providers. So we're so lucky for the partnership. And of course, as we were taking off, COVID hit. And so the program has needed to change a bit, but I did want to highlight really quickly before I turn it over to Tamara that a recent study came out of Alberta that looked at women who were either pregnant or recently had recently delivered. And what they found was about 40% of those women were experiencing either anxiety or symptoms of depression since the pandemic hit. And this number is in contrast to 15%. So we knew there was a very large need in the Ottawa community for this type of support. And now we have evidence that with the pandemic, there's an even greater need. And so I'm so thankful for the support of the Royal and for the partnership and the expertise. And I know that the community is really thankful too. And I'm so thankful to everyone here for supporting the Royal. The last thing I'll say, and my partner hates this, my partner Dustin, who you've seen being a great partner, stealing the baby, I'm gonna embarrass him a little bit. When we first started dating, I was a midwife, and he thought the word postpartum meant depression. Like, he didn't realize that that meant the period after you have a baby. And I thought that was so interesting because Anne-Marie has told me that women's mental health at the Royal is completely funded through donations and through this run. And that surprised me, that something that's so interconnected, people understand that it is a time where people need mental health support, and yet we rely on the community to provide that support. So I'm so thankful that this program exists, that Anne-Marie exists. She's such an amazing inspiration. And I'm so thankful to everybody who's there to make sure that our community stays safe and stays healthy. Tamara.
Thanks, Elise. So I was going to talk a little bit about how the program has evolved. So obviously, as Elise mentioned, you know, COVID has added stress and anxiety to everyone's plate. And, you know, women in the perinatal period are no exception to that. So in addition to kind of supporting these women, we've also moved everything virtual. So as before, we were going to have a lot of things, you know, on site at the Birth and Wellness Center. We now participate in a lot of Zoom calls, just like the rest of you. But again, we're so thankful for the help at the Royal. They have really taken the lead on a couple of initiatives. So first, they've been organizing some wellness groups for women. Sorry, I'm at my cottage and I have children entering the room every so often, and dogs. So they've taken the lead on organizing wellness groups for women to connect with each other. And you know, during COVID, obviously, our lack of support, our networks are broken a little bit. So for these women to be able to connect weekly, and I know these are facilitated sessions, but we've actually had the women carry on and do some of the sessions on their own without the facilitator as well. They've just formed such great relationships. In addition to this, we've hosted a lot of Facebook Live events on the Birth and Wellness Facebook page. Some of these an Ask the Experts session where women were able to ask questions of midwives. We also had a psychiatrist come on to talk about mood and anxiety disorders, mental health and well-being during the time of COVID, and during time of physical distancing. We've also highlighted a few of our community partners, such as Mothercraft and Family Services Ottawa. And recently we held a session, kind of a more private and closed session on perinatal loss. And, you know, understandably during the pandemic, the grief and anxiety associated with that is exponential. So just so thankful that the Royal was there to help us really support these women during a time of hardship. What we've heard in terms of the impact for the women who've participated in our sessions is that they feel more connected to other women in similar scenarios. They feel less alone and better equipped to manage their stress and anxiety once their baby comes, and that their mental health struggle feels more normalized. They're no longer kind of alone. They're part of a network with the experts and the resources that the Royal has really put into these sessions. We've also had some healthcare providers participate in these sessions as well, and from them we're hearing that they feel much better equipped to be able to support women through their stress and anxiety in the perinatal period. We've had over 4,000 views on our Facebook Live, which is, I think, amazing. So being able to reach that many people, and they're still up on our website so people can tune in if they're needing that extra support. And really, this has just been a huge value for women in our community. We as Elise said, are so thankful to the Royal for their expertise, their dedication, the excellent work done in partnership with us to host these sessions for our clients. I'd also like to add that I'm a team captain, so happy to participate in the run, Team Ottawa Birth and Wellness Center. So really looking forward to the run on the 27th as well.
Thank you so much. We're going to turn it over to Cornerstone now to let us know how the Royals impacting them. And they have a team too.
Yes, we do. Hi, I'm Martine Dora. I'm Interim Executive Director of Cornerstone Housing for Women. So we have 5 locations. We have a emergency shelter with 61 beds for women who are homeless and do not have a place to stay that night. And we have 4 supportive housing locations. Altogether, we serve about 200 women a night, and in a year, about 1,000 women. So the partnership with the Royal Ottawa Hospital is really important to us, and it's wonderful because the women that we're serving and working with are women with mental health issues, and many of our women have been living with mental health issues, you know, their entire lives. All of our women have experienced trauma, and that has great impact on a person's well-being. Many women cope with that trauma through use of substances, and many have addictions issues. We also have women who have developmental delays, acquired brain injuries, so there, and a lot of intersectionality where women may be struggling with more than one issue. So in our partnership with the Royal Ottawa, they've provided such a lot of support for women. And to name just a few, they can offer programming for our women, such as journaling, which is really important for women to help sort of process their emotional state and process their trauma and move towards wellness. They offer the WRAP program, the Wellness Recovery Action Plan program, where women can kind of create their own wellness program by talking about, what do I need in a crisis? What are my supports during a crisis? What supports my mental well-being? They can provide one-to-one support for women, which again is so important that women have a place to talk about what they are dealing with and get that one-on-one support. They have, they often provide resources and referrals to women to other community-based organizations and programs that can also help support women. They're a wonderful resource for our staff. So if we're trying to do some problem solving and we're not sure how best to support a woman, we can call and get resources, ideas, do a little bit of brainstorming. And of course, the Royal has also been a wonderful support when we are dealing with women who are in a true mental health crisis, where we're really concerned for their well-being and their safety in that moment. And the Royal Ottawa can help us out in those moments and help us walk through that journey with women a little bit. So that's kind of a quick intro or a quick sort of chat about the Royal Ottawa and how it benefits the women who we work with at Cornerstone. And our thanks again to Anne Marie O'Brien. I've also had the pleasure of working with her when I was in working with the Violence Against Women movement. Many of these women are the same women who experienced that trauma, and we're just so grateful to have the Royal Ottawa and the Women's Mental Health Program to help support women along all spectrums of mental wellness and mental health. I should also mention the Women in Mind Conference, which many of our staff have had the opportunity to take part in over the years. A wonderful learning and growth opportunity, not only for staff, but also for community members as well. So thank you very much. And thanks, Anne Marie, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Martine.
Thank you so much. I'm actually normally I was gonna go to our research component, but I see that our happiness doctor has arrived on the scene. So I'm gonna give it over to a good friend of the foundation, Dr. Lau. And if any of you have never heard Dr. Lau's full-on happiness presentation, it is awesome. He's just going to give us sort of the condensed version today, just to remind us all about some happiness tips. So I hand it over to you, Dr. Lau.
I thought you meant me. No, I'm after Dr. Lau. Okay. Sorry, Dr. Lau.
Oh, no, don't be sorry. So, yeah, happiness is, I think something we're all invested in. And I think you will find that the work you guys do together as a team and the relationships you build and doing something for a reason, these are all things that lead to human flourishing and happiness. And why I started giving talks on happiness about 12 years ago. And since then, I've given talks across the country and now outside of the country too, on happiness. And you won't find too many psychiatrists talk about happiness. Usually psychiatrists talk about illness. They talk about disorders. And I think that's one of the weaknesses in some ways of psychiatry is we focus a lot on what's broken. And to think of things being either as a person having illness or either you have an illness or you don't have an illness. And, you know, I don't know if that's always the healthiest way of looking at things, because in life, things are rarely just like that, where you're either completely well and that wellness is an absence of illness, as opposed to a continuum where we all experience challenges. And happiness, I would say, when I've given talks to other psychiatrists about happiness, most of the psychiatrists actually can't define it very well. But I think we all know that's something we want. And the modern sense of happiness relies a lot on chance, because it's the origins of the word are found in the Old English word hap, and it's found in words like happens. It's very passive. Whereas the ancient view of happiness depended on choices and virtue and decisions that you make. And the literature on happiness suggests that only 10% of our happiness varies based on the circumstances of our life. So most people, they think that if something happens to them in their lives, they'll be happy. The reality actually is that your happiness relies much more on your choices and your decisions. If you look at our general triad for cognitive therapy for depression, there's 3 parts to it. There is our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. And I will tell you that none of us choose to be happy or sad or anxious. You can't just turn a switch on and feel like any of those things. So how do you feel happier? The way is to change how you think or what you do. None of us can just suddenly choose to be happy, but you can choose to think about things that make you happy. You can choose to go on runs. You can choose to support each other and do something for the greater good, that there's a cause that's bigger than yourself and that you invest in and sacrifice. And by choosing things that are good, that's actually the pathway to happiness, rather than just waiting for something good to happen to you. And that's the message of the happiness talk in general, is that don't wait for happiness to happen. You have to decide to do it. And that's, I mean, all of you guys as captains, you're following that. If you look at the literature for happiness, what are the things that are associated with happiness? Friends, family, community, connection. There's evidence that, you know, things like spirituality and if you look at various cohorts with the younger populations, it's interesting because people who read and look at print media actually do a lot better than those that focus a lot on electronics. So I hope when you guys are running and your teams are running, you're not going to be all looking at your phones when you're running, because that probably would be dangerous. But you know, a lot of your happiness will depend on your choices. And I would say that that's the take-home message, is that it don't just wait for happiness, because you know there's a Harvard psychologist that looked at people that win lotteries and people that break their neck, and found that a year after someone breaks their neck or wins the lottery, there's actually no difference in their levels of happiness. So don't rely on some circumstance in your life to be happy. Your happiness depends on the choices you make. So yeah, that's my take-home message, is that it's within your own hands to be happy, and it doesn't rely on other people. I mean, obviously, you know, if you look at studies like the Harvard Longitudinal Study for Human Development, they found that relationships are you know, one of the key ingredients to both our survival and our health, and even the development of dementia. People, the strength of their relationships at the age of 50 predicted how long they would live and whether or not they would develop dementia, much more than something like our other indices in medicine, like your cholesterol or your blood pressure. A much better marker for how well you will do are the strength of your relationships. And hopefully the friendships you guys make in something together, where you're doing it together with your teams, that's going to go a lot further than focusing on other things.
Thanks, Dr. Lau. I remember one of the things from the first time I heard Dr. Lau speak, he said sometimes people generate more happiness from planning their vacation than actually going on their vacation. So that works really well during COVID times when you can't actually make it to the places you want, but you can still plan them and have almost as much happiness. So thank you so much for joining us. I know he's a busy guy. He's a dad of 6 and takes care of lots of folks in geriatrics. So thanks so much, Dr. Lau, for joining us today.
Oh yeah, and I forgot that I have 6 children. But Thank you. Looking at these meetings, I delivered my last child, and my family were able to be there with FaceTime because they were there in the birthing room.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, technology has its good sides too, and so anyway, it's wonderful. So thank you very much, Tracy, for inviting me.
We're going to swing back to women's mental health at the Royal now, and my colleague Joelle is going to talk to you. She's one of our superstar researchers at the Royal. And for those who don't know, we have an Institute for Mental Health Research also at the Royal. So she's going to do a quick chat on behalf of her colleague Natalia, Dr. Natalia Jaworska, about how important it is for us to keep moving. Over to you.
Hi, thank you, Tracy, and thank you everyone for having me today. Before I dive into Natalia's slides or Dr. Jaworska's slides, I would just like to talk a little bit about my experience too with the Run for Women and how I started with the Run for Women back in 2013. So for me, as an early researcher at the time, as a student researcher, an early graduate student, just starting with my graduate studies, it was an amazing experience for us. That first year, the Royal was just the Royal shirts and that we belonged to that Royal team. It was absolutely fabulous. The amount of support, the amount of community support that I witnessed for that day, it's still, I think it will live with me forever, and I will never tire of telling that story on and on and on. So that was just an absolutely wonderful experience. And I remember that year, I had so much, like our community has so much energy and so much love to give to the Royal and so much support. I went back to my desk at Royal and I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm ready to work day and night and I hope for some sort of, you know, a miracle in research and help to, you know, help everyone feel much, much better. And obviously we're not there yet. And obviously it's going to take many, many, many more years. Hopefully not, but that's just the nature of things, right? But in contrast, now, years later, where I'm just wrapping up with my graduate studies and moving on with my career, where now instead of where at the beginning I aspired from that community to continue with my research and to give meaning to that research, much more meaning than what I had on the bench, you know, at the computer station and with you know, numbers and stats and the recordings that we were doing and so on. Now I feel like now I have this responsibility to ask the community also to get involved into research. So it's not just, I feel like there's such a distance between the community and research that we don't know what kind of research is happening at the Royal. And I would like to basically let people know that there's state-of-the-art technology going on at the Royal at this moment. There's brilliant minds behind the research going on at the Royal. And I would love to see that with the years to come, more breakthroughs happening. And this is meaningful not just for us at the Royal, not just for us as researchers, but it's also meaningful for our community, because a breakthrough in the treatment, so what the treatments so talking a little bit about treatments here, I'm sure everybody knows that when we talk about treatments or medications for depression and so on, that they're not 100% efficient. So not everyone will respond to treatment, that's one. And number two, even those who respond don't get that 100% remission, right? So there's gaps, and we need to iron out, we need to eliminate those gaps. We need to understand more what the illnesses are, and through research, we will get there, right? So it's amazing with everybody's work that I've gotten to hear today, talking about perinatal and talking about all the peer support, the housing, the work that the volunteers do at the Royal and so on. But it's also very important to shed a little bit of light on research, and that a breakthrough on mental health treatment will come from research, from that involvement, and also the community to be involved in that research and to be aware, and to also raise a flag to our policy makers that we need more money going into research as well, right? To be able to get to that breakthrough. Anyways, that was my little blurb. And now, unfortunately, Dr. Jaworska couldn't make it with us today, but these are her slides, and she's the director of, can we go back? Sorry, I haven't, okay, yeah, I see it now, perfect. So she's the director of the Neuroelectrophysiology Lab at the IMHR, the Institute of Mental Health Research, housed at the Royal. And I'll go quickly over those slides because I don't want to overwhelm you with the science, but just fun little notes on how, on the link between, or the science behind physical and mental wellness. And what I like about those studies that are occurring at our lab is that it incorporates a little bit more of a holistic approach to treating mental illness, right? So it's not just about treatments, but it's also about other things that you can do. So here, specifically the slides, we talk about exercise, but there's other forms of treatments like CBT and other forms as well. So here, I mean, all of you have heard of norepinephrine and serotonin and happiness, happy molecules that get released into our system when we perform exercise. So that's been known for a while now. And what we're trying to understand now is how does this actually happen, and how we can use that to treat individuals who have a mental illness, such as depression or anxiety. And we also know how it decreases or regulates the HPA axis, that's the stress system as well, and reduces inflammation. But the more fascinating part, I'm just going to forward to the next slide here, the more fascinating part about this is how exercise has also been shown to create new neurons or new connections and new circuitry or microcircuitry in the brain, specifically in areas of the hippocampus. That's the blue, I'm not sure if you can see my arrow, but it's the blue highlighted area on the scan. And also a little bit has been shown to the same impact on the prefrontal cortex as well. And that's been shown in both mice and in humans, not just in mice. So that's huge, that's very important. So for someone, that's not only meaningful for someone who has someone suffering from depression, but it's also meaningful for individuals who have suffered for a long term from substance use disorder, right? And if we go to the next slide as well. And this here shows, this is directly from Dr. Jaworska's recently published work, where you notice after 12 weeks of aerobic exercise, there's been shown a reduced scores of depression which is absolutely amazing. And that's definitely need to be taken into consideration when when doctors are giving prescription medications to treat symptoms of depression or other illnesses. Here it's specifically on depression or major depressive disorders, but it's also a point to take into consideration with any type of illness for sure, or mental illness. And then the gaps to be ironed out in the future studies are intensity. What kind of intensity of the workout? How long do we need to perform the exercise for? And what kind of exercise? And does that matter from person to person? So for instance, person A enjoys running, but let's say person B doesn't enjoy running. So giving them that same exercise would definitely not benefit them in the same way. And on that note, I will just say happy running and happy fundraising. And we'll see you virtually on race day.
Well, sorry, I put my hand up there to say that I was the person B that doesn't like the running. I didn't mean.
Oh, I thought you were flagging me, being like done.
Joelle will be here on the line for a few more minutes if people have questions, but I do want to let the program finish itself off with Ali. I had the privilege of meeting Ali Cooper last year, 5 days before Run for Women, when I got the privilege to say to her, hey, do you want to come speak in front of 3,700 people in 4 days? Ali didn't think too long about it, but her one thought was, will I make a difference? And we absolutely confirmed to her that she would. And so she's going to share with you the speech that she shared with everybody at Run for Women last year. And because it was rainy and ugly and whatever outside, some of you might have missed it or if you weren't there. So Ali, over to you, my friend.
Okay, number one, I'm Ali Cooper. Number two, Joelle, I just wanted to say, since I lost 82 pounds being with the Royal, and it's helped I'm still a chunky monkey and I have more to take off, but it really helped me. And three, if you've seen me go kind of like this, I have very severe adult ADHD, and they took me off my meds so I could be on my depression meds. So sorry, I'm a little like this. So I just wanted to thank all you guys. You have no idea how honored I am for you guys to be here and care so much. You have no idea how much it means to us, how much it means to me. So I'm co-captains with my father and I, who when I was little, he always used to say, oh, she's just eccentric. And I am eccentric. But when he knew I was getting sick, he's been the backbone to like everything, and shout out to Pops. Hold on. I wrote some bullet points. I actually got to speak last year to like over 3,000 people, and it's not lost on me that people don't get that kind of experience very often, especially like mental health supporters. Another thing I really liked is how many men I saw support like us women. It's like you get your husbands, you get your partners, you get your brothers, you get all your friends. Like, more people support us as long as we let them in, you know? Another bullet point. You know, right after I got off stage, this girl, she couldn't have been more than 14. She came up to me and said, I can't believe you just told all those people all your secrets. I was like, why? She goes, I have the same ones. She goes, I thought I was going to kill myself and I'm different. I was like, have you told your parents? She goes, no. I'm like, so are you going to? She goes, after what you said, absolutely. And like, if I affected that one person, like what we do here is so important. Like, I'm not the queen of everything. We all have to, like, you know, put our best foot forward because we're affecting people. You know, I remember like being in the office for another psychiatrist, not at the Royal, who sucked. But this this woman was talking to her friend. She goes, "I'm at the dentist's office." It's like you can't hide who you are. We need to talk about this stuff. This is so important. So, you know, my whole life I feel different and strange and very wrong. My parents got me into a psychiatrist when I was 13. And by the way, I did not care for the puppets. But, you know, I got misdiagnosed. I was just told to like buck up. You know, like your feelings, like you're just weird. I got called weird. And then, oh yeah, fake it till you make it. That was when I just wrote that down because that was the worst one. Like, what the fuck is, oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. I can see Anne-Marie and Tracy. I'm really not supposed to swear because I cussed way too much. But it's fake it till you make it. And that's just, you can't do that. You need help. And then after my initial interview with the ROH, I got properly diagnosed for the first time in my life on the proper medications. My doctor was like, "This is all wrong. It's probably poisoning you." I was on like 14 medications. She put me down to 5. And then in like 6 weeks, I was feeling a lot better, more motivated, less sluggish. I always had stomach problems, gone, because it was the bad pills. And like, and these people at the ROH, it's not just a job for them. Like, they actually care about you. And it's like who they are. It's not, you know, clock in at 8, leave at 5. These are the people that help everyone. And they do it because that's what they need to do. And it's like, it's beautiful to me. Because there I felt heard. And that was the most important thing. I've never felt heard before. Like, no one understood where I was coming from. Like, people always say, "Oh, you're weird and you're eccentric and you have a very extensive Star Wars toy collection," which is not that weird. I love it. But when you actually feel like someone's hearing you, it can make such a big difference. And that's what these people do for so many of us. And thank you so much for helping out. All right, bullet point. Yeah, that's true. Like feeling lonely, especially.
I think that's a great spot to end it, actually, just on the big thing.
Well, I have other things to say.
Okay.
Don't get sassy with me, girl. Okay, we can end it. All right, but thank you very much to shoppers and to all of you guys. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much we care. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. If you'd like to hear more from Allie, I'm sure she'd be able to continue on. But
I'll never stop talking.
We know. This is true. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Like I said, we so appreciate, we're in the final stretches. Anne-Marie says not to put pressure on people, but we are looking for 2,000 more friends in the next couple of weeks. So if you can
I've been doing puppy dog eyes.
Okay. If everybody could just find a few more minutes to recruit on your team, to post on social, to make a few phone calls. You know, I think Allie's message was pretty heartfelt in that what you're doing is making a difference. And Dr. Lau, it'll make you happy. So it's kind of a win-win. if anybody has any questions, I'm prepared to stay on the line. Anne Marie is going to be here as well. But again, thanks to our partners. Thanks to everybody who spoke today. Thanks to my colleagues for joining in. Thanks, Joelle. Thanks, guys. And any questions at all, we're here to answer them. But again, please go enjoy your evening, and see you on social on Sunday, September 27th. Thank you so much.